Hello everyone, my name is Yandera Sereno, and in this screencast, I'll be answering the question on the screen, which is, what is the role of race in building classroom culture for students and for teachers? The way I connect to this topic is because I am majoring in elementary education. I want to know what it's like to teach students from different cultural backgrounds as myself, and learn as a future teacher how to work with different cultures backgrounds. In this screencast, I'll be mentioning 4 scholars that have helped me with my research on what is the role of race in building classroom culture for students and for teachers. These 4 scholars are Claire Cain Miller, Dina Simmons, Heather A. Davis, and Rita Pearson. So without further ado, I introduce to you the first scholar, who is Claire Cain Miller. Claire Cain Miller is a correspondent for The Times, where she writes about gender, families, and the future of work for The Upshot, a time site for analysts of policy and economics. Claire reports in her article that students can be affected by the race or ethnicity of the teacher that the students have in their classroom. Claire claims that boys are more affected by the race of a teacher rather than girls. Teacher diversity can affect a student's life in a positive or negative way, and can affect the student's progress and interest in their schools. Teachers are role models and can become students' inspiration. Here is a quote that she said in her article. "The effect is strong on boys. Research has found that boys are, and particularly black boys, are more affected than girls by disadvantages like poverty and racism, and by positive influence like high quality schools and role models. Yet they are least likely to have had a teacher that looks like them." Next, I present to you Dina Simmons. Dina Simmons is an educator who was once going through a racial experience. Dina was a young lady that grew up in the Bronx in New York. She tells her story of how she was underestimated due to the color of her skin in her school years. Dina was once corrected by a teacher because of the way she would pronounce the word asking. Dina did not let any of the obstacles that she went through affect her education and going towards her dream career. Dina reports that students of color are suspended and expelled 3 times more than white students, and white students are punished in partial ways for the same infraction. They also learn this through the absence of their lives and narratives of the curriculum. I will now show you a small clip of Dina Simmons.
Pay a profound price when their schooling sends them the message that they must be controlled, that they must leave their identities at home in order to be successful. Every child deserves an education that guarantees the safety to learn in the comfort of one's own skin.
The following person is Heather A. Davis. Dr. Heather A. Davis is an associate professor in the Department of Curriculum Instruction and Counselor Education at North Carolina State University. Heather discusses that over the past 20 years, there has been considerable research on how relationships between students and teachers affect the quality of students' motivation and classroom learning experience. Operation As socialization ages, teachers can influence students' social and intellectual experience via their ability to instill values in children, such as the motivation to learn, by providing classroom context that simulates students' motivation and learning, by addressing students' need to belong, and by serving a regulatory function for the development of emotional, behavioral, and academic skills. Now, the last scholar I'll be mentioning is Rita Pierson. Rita F. Pierson, a professional educator since 1972, taught elementary school, junior high, and special education. She was a counselor, a testing coordinator, and an assistant principal. Rita Pierson discusses that one of the things we rarely discuss is the value and importance of human connection, relationships. She also states what James Comer says, which is that no significant learning can occur without a significant relationship. She also states what George Washington Carver says, which is that all learning is understanding relationships. Rita has inspired me to become a better educator. In order for us to have a good relationship between teachers and students is to be able to have a great human connection when it comes to conversation between students and teachers. Communication is key in all relationships, including teachers and students. I will now show you a brief clip of Rita Pierson.
Teaching and learning should bring joy. How powerful would our world be if we had kids who were not afraid to take risks, who were not afraid to think, and who had a champion. Every child deserves a champion, an adult who will never give up on them, who understands the power of connection and insists that they become the best that they can possibly be. Is this job tough? You betcha. Oh God, you betcha. But it is not impossible. We can do this. We're educators. We're born to make a difference. Thank you so much.
In conclusion, the way I used each scholar's information was by quoting a few quotes that they said and giving them credit for what they said. And I also tried to interpret what they were saying in my own words and adding my own input on the research I found from each scholar. What I learned from my research was that it is important to have proper communication with the students and that teachers need to be more colorblind, meaning that they cannot see the color of one's skin, but to be more culturally open to different people and learn from them. In the beginning, I wasn't sure what I was getting myself into, but as I did the research on this topic, I enjoyed it and it transformed my thinking and desiring to become a better educator in the future. 3 questions that I would like answered if I were to continue this research study on this topic. The first one is, do teachers have a preference when it comes to teaching different cultural students or students of the same race or color? 2, what is the percentage of students to teachers when it comes to racial difference in school or classes? And lastly, will racial difference in schools and in the world ever change 10 to 20 years from today? Here is my works cited. Thank you for your time, and I hope this presentation was a great help in understanding a little bit of the educational realm for students and teachers. Have a nice day.